Hello, dear travelers of the night, and welcome back to GeoSnooze Facts. If you're new here, you've found a sanctuary, a place where curiosity meets comfort, where mysteries unfold slowly, gently, like clouds drifting across a moonlit sky. This is a space where it's safe to wonder, safe to question, safe to let your mind wander through the strange and beautiful without fear or urgency. Before we begin our journey tonight, I'd love to hear from you. If this story helps you drift away into peaceful dreams, if it gives you that gentle sense of awe that makes the world feel larger and more magical, leave a like below. It helps others find their way here too. Other seekers, other wanderers, other souls who need this quiet space at the end of a long day. And if you have a topic you'd love us to explore in a future bedtime story, ancient civilizations, deep ocean mysteries, forgotten places, unexplained phenomena, tell us in the comments. We read every single one, and your curiosity helps guide where we travel next. Tonight, we're looking up. Have you ever wondered what secrets hide in the darkness above? Those fleeting lights that catch the corner of your eye, those strange glows that make you pause at the window, those phenomena that our ancestors saw and tried desperately to understand with the tools they had, mythology, religion, careful observation passed down through generations? The night sky is not as quiet as it seems. In fact, it's never been quiet. For billions of years, it's been performing miracles of physics and light, whether anyone was watching or not. But tonight, you're watching, and I'm going to show you things that will change how you see that darkness when you look up. So find your most comfortable position. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Unclench your jaw if it's tight. Take a slow breath in, hold it for just a moment, and let it out slowly, releasing the day with it. Perhaps dim your screen, or let it rest nearby on your nightstand. Close your eyes when you want to. Let the words paint pictures in your mind. We're about to embark on a journey through 50 mysterious facts about the night sky. Some explained by science, some still puzzling our best minds, and others, well, you can decide for yourself what to believe. We'll travel through 5 segments tonight, each revealing a different layer of the cosmic mystery above us. Stories of ghost lights and impossible suns, ancient omens and modern wonders, deep space whispers that make us question what else might be watching back. From the secret lightning that flickers above storms while we sleep, to signals from dead stars that have traveled for millions of years just to reach us. The universe has stories to tell, and tonight we're listening. Let's begin. Picture this with me, if you will. You're lying in bed on a stormy night. Rain taps against your window in an irregular rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. Thunder rumbles somewhere far away, deep and resonant, like the earth itself is clearing its throat. You feel safe, cocooned in your blankets while nature performs its ancient dance outside. Maybe you're a child again, or maybe you're remembering what it felt like to find storms exciting rather than merely inconvenient. But what if I told you that above those storm clouds, where you can't see, where most people will never look, an entirely different show is happening? A secret electrical ballet that makes the lightning you can see look simple by comparison? A display so strange, so fleeting, that for most of human history, we didn't even know it existed? Fact 1. Red Sprites, the ghosts above the storm. High above thunderstorms, 50 to 90 kilometers straight up, where the atmosphere turns thin and cold and the air pressure drops to almost nothing. Ghostly red shapes flicker to life. They last for less than a second, often just a few milliseconds. Scientists call them sprites, and they stretch downward from the edge of space like jellyfish made of crimson lightning. Some look like carrots, others like columns, others like elaborate branching trees painted in light. Think about the scale for a moment. These aren't small. A single sprite can be 50 kilometers tall. That's over 30 miles. If you stood at the base of one, You couldn't see the top even on the clearest day. They're enormous structures of light, appearing and vanishing faster than you can blink. For most of human history, these didn't exist. At least, not officially. Not in textbooks or scientific papers. Pilots reported them, of course, especially military pilots flying at high altitude during the mid-20th century. They spoke of red flashes above the clouds, brief as a heartbeat, like the sky was bleeding light for just an instant. But without proof, without photographs that could survive the scrutiny of peer review, sprites remained in that uncertain space between observation and imagination. The space where UFOs live, where ball lightning used to live, where things that people see but can't prove get filed away and forgotten. It wasn't until the late 20th century, 1989 to be specific, when cameras aboard NASA research aircraft finally caught them, that science accepted what the sky had been showing us all along. The evidence was undeniable. The sprites were real. Can you imagine being that first pilot? Flying through darkness at 30,000 feet, storm clouds below you like a rumpled gray blanket, and then, just for an instant, just long enough to make you doubt your own eyes, the sky above the storm turns red. Deep blood red. Like someone turned on a neon sign the size of a city and then immediately shut it off. What do you do with that? Do you report it? Do you tell your co-pilot? Or do you stay quiet, worried that people will think you're tired, stressed, seeing things that aren't there? How many pilots stayed quiet over the years? How many sprites flickered and died with no one willing to speak about them? Fact 2, blue jets, lightning that reaches for space. But sprites aren't alone up there in the thin, cold air. Blue jets shoot upward from the tops of storm clouds, painting quick blue spears into the stratosphere. Unlike normal lightning, which crashes downward seeking the ground, seeking the path of least resistance to Earth, these reach towards space itself. They're narrower than sprites, more focused, like the storm is testing the boundaries of the atmosphere, reaching up to see how far it can go. Think about that for a moment. Lightning that goes up. Everything we're taught about lightning says it seeks the ground. Positive charge, negative charge, the crackling path of ionized air connecting cloud to Earth. That's the story. That's what makes sense. But blue jets ignore that story. They emerge from the tops of particularly powerful thunderstorms, the kind that generate massive updrafts, the kind that can spawn tornadoes, and they shoot straight up at speeds of around 100 kilometers per second. They can reach altitudes of 40 to 50 kilometers before they fade. As if the storm is trying to touch something beyond our world. As if electricity itself wants to escape into space. Fact 3, green ghosts, the afterglow. And sometimes, after a particularly powerful lightning strike, after the thunder has rolled away and you think the show is over, a soft greenish afterglow appears. Scientists call it a green ghost. For just a moment, sometimes less than a second, sometimes several seconds, the clouds look haunted from within. They glow with an otherworldly light that seems to have no source, no center, just a diffuse, eerie luminescence that fades almost as soon as you register it. The green color comes from oxygen molecules in the upper atmosphere, excited by the lightning's electromagnetic pulse, releasing their energy as soft green light. It's the same process that creates auroras, but compressed into a single brief moment rather than hours of shimmering curtains. Imagine being a sailor in the age of wooden ships, seeing that glow above a storm. No understanding of electromagnetic radiation. No concept of excited oxygen molecules. Just green light appearing in clouds, looking exactly like the ghost stories you've heard since childhood. Looking exactly like something that shouldn't be possible. Would you believe your eyes? Or would you convince yourself you imagined it? From your bedroom window tonight, you see none of this. The storm is just rain and thunder, ordinary and familiar. Background noise. An inconvenience that makes you worry about the morning commute or whether you remembered to bring in the patio furniture. But 50 kilometers above your head, the sky is alive with colors and shapes that seem to belong to another planet entirely. Another universe. A secret show that plays whether anyone is watching or not. Fact 4. Blue blobs from orbit, the astronaut's view. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station have photographed something even stranger. Isolated blue blobs of light glowing inside cloud tops. These aren't jets shooting upward. They're not sprites stretching downward. They're just blobs, spheres of blue light, appearing inside the clouds themselves, visible only from above, only from the unique vantage point of someone floating 250 miles above the Earth's surface. From orbit, our planet's storms aren't frightening. They can't hurt you up there. You're safe, floating in your tin can, watching the Earth spin slowly below. And when night falls over a storm system, when the sun drops below the horizon and the clouds are lit only by city lights and lightning, you see these blue orbs flickering like magical lanterns suspended in the darkness of Earth's atmosphere. Single storm flashes that, from that perspective, look less like weather and more like communication. Like the Earth itself is trying to say something, flashing messages into space that only someone in orbit would be positioned to see. Several astronauts have reported feeling a strange emotion watching these phenomena. Not fear, exactly, but a kind of awe mixed with loneliness. The sense that they're witnessing something that billions of humans below will never see. A reminder that perspective changes everything. That from down here, a storm is dangerous, loud, disruptive. But from up there, it's beautiful, mysterious, almost playful. Fact 5. Transient luminous events, from myth to science. All of these phenomena, the sprites, the blue jets, the green ghosts, the orbital blobs, they're collectively called transient luminous events. The name itself tells you something. Transient because they vanish so quickly. Blink and you miss them. Luminous because they glow, they shine, they paint the sky with light. Events because, well, what else do you call something that appears and disappears before you can even process what you're seeing? For centuries, literal centuries, these were dismissed as pilot stories, tricks of tired eyes, hallucinations born from too many hours in the cockpit, too much coffee, not enough sleep. The human brain creating patterns where none existed. Meteorologists and atmospheric scientists were skeptical. Where was the evidence? Where were the photographs? If these phenomena were real, why hadn't anyone captured them clearly? But cameras don't hallucinate. Cameras don't get tired. And when high-speed photography improved enough to catch events lasting only milliseconds, the evidence became undeniable. The sprites were there. The jets were there. The ghosts were there. The sky has been putting on this show for millions of years, for billions of years, since Earth first developed an atmosphere capable of generating thunderstorms. Long before humans existed, long before anyone was there to witness or question or study. And here's what makes my skin prickle. How many other phenomena are out there happening right now that we don't have the tools to detect yet? What other secret shows is the atmosphere performing that we're simply not equipped to see? Fact 6. Steve, the Purple Mystery. There's another one. A phenomenon so new that we're still actively studying it, still arguing about its mechanisms, still surprised when it appears. Scientists call it Steve, which stands for Strong Thermal Emission Velocity Enhancement. Though honestly, the researchers just wanted an excuse to give it a friendly name. Something approachable. Something less intimidating than the reality of what it represents. An atmospheric phenomenon we didn't even know existed until 2016. Steve appears as a narrow ribbon of purple and green light across the sky, stretching for hundreds or even thousands of kilometers. At first glance, it looks like an aurora. It has that same ethereal quality, that same sense of curtains or ribbons hanging in the air. But it's not an aurora. It doesn't behave like one. It shows up in places where auroras shouldn't be, too far south, too far from the magnetic poles. It appears during different solar conditions, and the colors are wrong. That distinctive purple isn't typical of auroral displays. Citizen scientists, amateur aurora photographers mostly, were the ones who first noticed that something was off. They'd been seeing this purple arc for years, assuming it was just an unusual aurora variant. But when they compared notes online, shared their photographs and observations, patterns emerged. This wasn't fitting the standard auroral models. Professional scientists investigated and discovered that Steve is caused by a ribbon of extremely hot gas flowing through the ionosphere at incredible speeds, around 6 kilometers per second. The mechanism driving this flow is still debated. It involves the magnetic field, obviously, charged particles, certainly, but the exact chain of causation, that's still being worked out. The sky invented something new, or at least something we'd never noticed before, and we're still trying to understand the rules. What I love about Steve is that it reminds us how much we don't know, how the atmosphere can still surprise us. We've been studying the sky for centuries, for millennia, and it can still produce something that makes scientists scratch their heads and say, "Wait, what is that?" Fact 7, ball lightning, the floating mystery. Then there's ball lightning. And oh, this one is frustrating for physicists. Delightfully, maddeningly frustrating. For centuries, we're talking hundreds of years of consistent reports. People have described glowing orbs that drift through the air after lightning strikes. Floating balls of light, ranging from golf ball sized to beach ball sized, moving with seeming intelligence through homes, through aircraft, through open fields. Sometimes passing through walls or windows as if matter didn't exist. Sometimes disappearing with a pop. Sometimes vanishing silently. Sometimes exploding with enough force to scorch walls or knock people over. The reports come from all over the world. Different cultures, different centuries, different levels of scientific literacy. But the descriptions are remarkably consistent. A ball of light, glowing, hovering, moving impossibly through space. Science has struggled with this one for a very specific reason: reproducibility. We can't make ball lightning in a lab with any consistency. Oh, researchers have created things that might be ball lightning, glowing plasmas, electromagnetic phenomena, silicon vapor explosions. But none of them quite match the full range of reported behaviors. None of them last as long as some witnesses describe. None of them can pass through solid matter. So ball lightning sits in that gray zone between explanation and mystery, between physics and folklore. We have the reports. We have the witness accounts. We even have a few photographs and videos, though they're rare and often ambiguous. But we don't have a complete, satisfying explanation that accounts for every observed property. The phenomenon refuses to be pinned down. It appears when it wants to. It behaves how it wants to. And then it vanishes, leaving behind frustrated scientists and awed witnesses. Some researchers think it might be several different phenomena that people are grouping under one label. Maybe some ball lightning is plasma. Maybe some is St. Elmo's fire. Maybe some is psychological, afterimages from bright lightning bolts, interpreted as floating objects. But maybe it's something we genuinely don't understand yet. Maybe the universe still has tricks to teach us about what matter and energy can do under extreme conditions. Fact 8. Catatumbo lightning, the everlasting storm. In Venezuela, at the mouth of the Catatumbo River where it empties into Lake Maracaibo, lightning storms occur with such supernatural frequency that the flashes can light up the sky for 260 nights a year, sometimes for 10 hours straight, sometimes with up to 40 lightning strikes per minute. Think about that. 40 strikes every minute for hours. Locals call it the everlasting storm, and they're not exaggerating. For centuries, the phenomenon was so reliable, so constant, that sailors used it as a natural lighthouse, visible from 400 kilometers away. Ships navigating the Caribbean would look for the glow on the horizon and know exactly where they were. The scientific explanation involves unique geography. The Andes Mountains, the lake, the warm, humid air from the Caribbean. They all combine to create perfect conditions for convective storms. Moisture-laden air rises rapidly, cools, creates massive cumulonimbus clouds, and those clouds generate lightning. Over and over, night after night, with almost mechanical regularity. But explanations don't diminish the wonder. Imagine living there. Imagine that being your normal. Every night, the sky performs its electrical dance so regular you could set your calendar by it. Children grow up thinking this is what the sky does everywhere. Visitors arrive and can't believe what they're seeing. Indigenous peoples in the region developed myths about the lightning. Some said it was the spirit of fireflies, upset at being disturbed. Others believed it was the ghosts of conquistadors, forever fighting over gold. The myths tried to explain why this place was different, why the sky here behaved in a way it didn't behave anywhere else. In recent years, the lightning decreased for a few months, and people genuinely worried it might have stopped forever. When it returned, there was relief, joy even. The everlasting storm was back. The natural lighthouse was lit again. Fact 9. Historical UFO battles misread skies. Throughout history, people witnessing these atmospheric phenomena without scientific context created their own explanations. And some of those explanations were dramatic. Medieval reports of UFO battles in the sky, armies of spheres fighting in the clouds, celestial warfare, signs of the apocalypse. Might have been observers seeing halos, unusual lightning, or multiple atmospheric effects layered together. A sundog creating 3 suns, a sprite flashing red, a halo forming a cross, all happening at once or in sequence, creating the impression of objects moving, fighting, interacting. When you don't know about ice crystals and refraction and electrical discharge in the upper atmosphere, what else would you think? The sky is fighting. The gods are at war. Angels and demons are battling for supremacy. The phenomenon was real. The lights were real. The strange shapes were real. But the interpretation that was influenced by the cultural context, the religious beliefs, the stories people had been told since childhood about what might exist beyond the visible world. Were they wrong? Well, the lights were there. The patterns were real. The sense that they were witnessing something meaningful, something beyond normal experience, that was real too. They just lacked the framework to understand what they were seeing. And honestly, even with our modern understanding, even knowing about sprites and jets and optical phenomena, when you see something truly strange in the sky, when you witness something that doesn't fit your expectations, your first reaction is still wonder, still awe, still that primal sense that the universe is bigger and stranger than your daily life suggests. Fact 10. Silent dramas, the storms we sleep through. Here's the thing that makes all of this even stranger, even more melancholic in a way. These events are so brief, so high in the atmosphere, that millions of people sleep through entire storms while whole electrical dramas play out silently above the clouds. Right now, somewhere in the world, a sprite is flickering red against the darkness. A blue jet is shooting toward space. A green ghost is fading back into ordinary cloud. And almost no one will see it. The people below are sleeping or sheltering indoors, or too focused on the rain and thunder to look up. The phenomenon happens in the space above the storm, invisible to those beneath it. It's like nature is staging a play for an empty theater, performing its wonders with or without an audience. The show goes on whether we're watching or not, whether we believe in it or not, whether we have names for it or not. And sometimes, maybe right now, maybe while you're listening to this, you're lying in bed while one of these silent dramas unfolds above your roof. The sky is doing something extraordinary, something rare, something that most humans will never witness. But you won't know. You'll sleep through it, and in the morning you'll never know what you missed. The night sky keeps its secrets well, but now that you know they're there, now that you understand what's happening above the clouds when storms roll through, will you ever look at distant lightning the same way again? Will you wonder what else is happening? What other colors are painting the upper atmosphere? What other phenomena are occurring just beyond the limit of human vision? Let's continue our journey. Sometimes the most mysterious things in the sky aren't actually there at all. Not in the way we think of there. They're real, you can photograph them, measure them, predict when they'll appear. But they're also illusions, tricks of light and ice and atmosphere, creating wonders that once made people fall to their knees in awe or terror. Fact 11. Imagine waking up one winter morning, stepping outside, and seeing 3 suns rising simultaneously. Not 1, 3. This happens. It's called a sundog, and it occurs when tiny ice crystals in the atmosphere act like millions of tiny prisms, creating bright mock suns on either side of the real one. To you, standing there with your coffee, it looks like the sky has malfunctioned, like reality has glitched. 3 suns. How do you process that? How did people process it before they understood the science? Fact 12. Full halos around the sun or moon, perfect glowing rings in thin cloud, once convinced people that plagues were coming, that gods were sending warnings, that the world was about to change. And in a way, they were right to pay attention. These optical phenomena often appear before weather changes. The ice crystals that create them are part of specific atmospheric conditions. Our ancestors didn't understand the mechanism, but they understood the pattern. The sky was speaking. They were listening. Fact 13. Some halos are rarer, more complex. Perhelix circles and superlateral arcs can create full glowing sky wheels, crosses of light that span the entire dome of heaven. Some of their exact formation pathways are still being modeled by scientists today. The sky geometry we're still learning to predict. Fact 14. On certain nights, when the moon is full and bright, and rain has just passed through, you might see a moonbow. A rainbow made not from sunlight, but from moonlight. They're so faint that human eyes often can't perceive their colors. You need long exposure photography to reveal the soft pastels hiding in the darkness. But they're there, ghostly rainbows painted by the moon. Fact 15. Fire rainbows aren't actually rainbows at all, and they're not on fire. They're iridescent clouds near the sun, looking like pastel flames licking along the sky. They form when sunlight hits plate-shaped ice crystals at a perfect angle. Just right or not at all. Nature is precise in its artistry. Fact 16. The Brocken Spectre is perhaps the most eerie. You're hiking in the mountains, fog below you, and suddenly you see it. A giant shadow of yourself, cast on the fog, ringed with colored halos. For a moment, it looks like a spirit, a sky being, something following you through the clouds. But it's just you, your shadow, magnified and glorified by mist and light. Some hikers have been genuinely frightened by their own reflected presence, not recognizing themselves in that enormous, haloed form. Fact 17. Noctilucent clouds shine electric blue long after sunset. They hang at the very edge of space, so high that when the sun has dropped below your horizon, it's still illuminating them from beneath. And here's what's strange. They're becoming more frequent. Their increasing appearance may be tied to changes high in our atmosphere that scientists are still trying to fully understand. The sky is changing even at its boundaries. Fact 18. Medieval chroniclers wrote of the sevenfold sun miracle, multiple suns appearing in the sky, convincing terrified observers that the end times had arrived. Today, we understand these as complex halo displays, multiple optical effects combining to create something that looked impossible. But to those pre-scientific observers, it was a miracle, terror, a sign that the natural order was breaking down. They weren't wrong to be awed. They were just wrong about the source. Fact 19. Astronomers maintain what they call halo inventories, catalogs of every predicted halo pattern that ice crystals could theoretically create. And here's the fascinating part. A few predicted patterns have barely or never been conclusively observed, which means there are atmospheric phenomena that should exist, mathematically speaking, but we've never clearly seen them. Maybe they're too rare. Maybe they require conditions so specific they almost never occur. Or maybe they're still waiting for the right observer in the right place at the right moment. Fact 20. Here's what I want you to imagine. You're half asleep at your window. Maybe it's 3 a.m. Maybe you can't sleep, and you look up at the sky and see something. A halo. A light where there shouldn't be one. Colors arranging themselves in patterns that feel almost intentional. For just a moment, it feels like the sky is rearranging its lamps just for you. Private show. A secret message written in light and ice. But it's not personal. It's never personal. Tiny crystals are doing all the work, following the laws of optics and physics, creating beauty without intention or audience. And yet, the beauty remains. The wonder remains. The sky doesn't need to know you're watching for its tricks to take your breath away. Let's move deeper into mystery. Now we enter the territory where science and story blur, where explanations exist, but they don't quite satisfy, where the phenomenon is real, the witnesses are reliable, but the truth remains just out of reach. Fact 21. In remote regions around the world, travelers have told of lights that follow them. Will-o'-the-wisps, ghost lights, hovering over fields, following roads, moving with seeming intelligence. Modern explanations range from swamp gases to mirages to the reflected headlights of distant cars. But here's the problem. No single theory fits every case. Some ghost lights appear in places with no swamps, no roads, no sources of gas or reflection. They've been reported for centuries, long before cars existed. They behave differently in different locations. The phenomenon is real, but it resists easy categorization. Fact 22. In the Australian outback, mysterious moving lights, often called min-min lights, have inspired both Aboriginal stories and modern UFO tales. Mirage-like refraction is often suggested as the explanation. Often suggested, but not fully proven. The debate continues. Indigenous Australians have stories about these lights going back thousands of years. They gave them names, incorporated them into their understanding of the land and spirits. When European settlers arrived and saw the same lights, they created different stories, different explanations for the same mystery. Same lights, different interpretations, neither fully solving the riddle. Fact 23. On April 14, 1561, the people of Nuremberg looked up and saw what they described as a celestial battle. The sky filled with spheres, crosses, and rods that seemed to be fighting in the dawn light. A woodcut was made to commemorate the event. It shows geometric shapes clashing above the city. A scene so strange it looks like science fiction created for centuries too early. Modern scholars lean toward this being a complex halo display. Sundogs, arcs, and other optical phenomena stacking on top of each other. The people of Nuremberg, lacking scientific context, interpreted the geometric light patterns as objects in conflict. But UFO enthusiasts see something else, an early report of an alien battle. Evidence that whatever is happening in our skies has been happening for centuries. Fact 24. Just 5 years later, in 1566, the people of Basel, Switzerland reported similar sky battles, geometric shapes, apparent conflict in the heavens, more woodcuts, more witnesses. These events helped feed conspiracy theories that have persisted for centuries. That wars in the heavens have long shadowed human history. That we're witnessing something beyond atmospheric optics. Fact 25. In the 1950s, U.S. satellites detected brief gamma-ray flashes in the sky. Military analysts, in the height of Cold War paranoia, first checked whether they were secret nuclear tests. They weren't. They were cosmic gamma-ray bursts from deep space, some of the most energetic events in the universe, traveling billions of light-years to reach our detectors. But for a moment, a real moment, people in positions of power wondered if someone was testing weapons in space. The line between cosmic phenomenon and human threat was unclear. Fact 26. The famous Phoenix Lights of 1997, a massive V-shaped formation seen by thousands across Arizona, generated reports, videos, and decades of debate. Official explanations involved military flares and aircraft formations. Many witnesses remain unconvinced. The explanations don't match their experiences. The shape was too large, too silent, too strange. What's interesting isn't whether it was aliens or military exercises. What's interesting is the gap, the space between what people experienced and what explanations can fully account for. Fact 27. Starlink satellites, launched in massive constellations, now create trains of lights moving across the night sky in perfect formation. Before people knew what they were, the first sightings triggered waves of UFO reports, which makes sense. Seeing 50 lights moving in a line, appearing from nowhere, crossing the entire sky in eerie silence. That's strange. That's worth reporting. The explanation is mundane. Satellites providing internet service. But the experience is still unsettling if you don't know what you're looking at. Fact 28. Laser beams from mapping satellites and observatories have been photographed as eerie green lines across the night sky. On social media, they prompted theories about matrix code, secret scanning, weapon tests. They're just lasers, scientific instruments. But a green beam shooting down from space looks like it belongs in a different kind of story. Fact 29. Modern chemtrail. Conspiracy theories misinterpret ordinary aircraft contrails. Ice crystals forming in jet exhaust as deliberate poisoning of the atmosphere. The science is straightforward. The atmospheric conditions that create persistent contrails are well understood. But for someone who doesn't trust institutions, who's looking for hidden control, those white lines across the sky become evidence of something sinister. Same phenomenon, completely different interpretation. Fact 30. Here's the truth beneath all of these stories. Our brains are pattern-seeking engines. We try to turn every light into a narrative. The same streak or flash can be a comet to one person, a secret weapon to another, a guardian spirit to someone else. We see what we're prepared to see. We interpret based on our beliefs, our fears, our hopes. The sky provides the mystery. We provide the meaning. And sometimes, the mystery is enough. Let's travel backward now. Imagine you're living 1,000 years ago. No electric lights washing out the stars. No scientific understanding of atmospheric optics or cosmic radiation. Just you and the sky and centuries of accumulated stories about what its changes might mean. Fact 31. Medieval chronicles are filled with descriptions of blood-red moons and triple suns appearing before wars or plagues. At the time, these were seen as omens, the heavens warning humanity of coming catastrophe. Today, we can often match these accounts to specific eclipses, halo displays, and volcanic dust in the atmosphere. The science explains the optics, but it doesn't explain why people invested these events with such meaning. Or maybe it does. When you have no control over disease or war, when catastrophe can arrive without warning, you look for signs. Anything that might give you advance notice. Any pattern that might help you prepare. The sky was speaking in the only language available. Light and color and unexpected change. Fact 32. Chinese, Babylonian, and Mesoamerican astronomers recorded comets with remarkable care. Modern scientists can often identify which comet they saw, track its orbit, match their descriptions to known celestial objects. But what we can't always understand is why those cultures attached such specific prophecies to each one. Why this comet meant war while that one meant abundance. The astronomical observations were precise. The interpretations, those came from somewhere else. Fact 33. Some miracle reports describe stationary wheels of fire or glowing crosses in the sky. Today, we recognize these as rare halo configurations, specific arrangements of ice crystals creating geometric patterns in the atmosphere. But to deeply religious communities seeing them centuries ago, they were signs from God, direct communication from the divine, written in light across the heavens. Were they wrong? The light was real. The pattern was real. The sense that they were witnessing something meaningful, that was real too. Fact 34. Historical accounts speak of rushing dragons and fiery spears in the night sky. We now understand these as bright meteors or auroral arcs. But here's what's fascinating. Scientists can sometimes reconstruct the exact magnetic storms that produce specific auroral displays from ice cores and tree rings. They can look at the chemical signature frozen in ancient ice and say, yes, in the year 1204, there was a significant geomagnetic event that would have created unusual auroral activity. The old records aren't just stories. They're data points. Our ancestors were citizen scientists, recording observations without knowing that centuries later, we'd use their accounts to understand solar history. Fact 35. A 19th century New York Times report described a mysterious circular light that spread across a clear night sky, dimming nearby stars. The witnesses were credible. The account was detailed. Historians have proposed various explanations: auroral forms, distant fires, atmospheric optical effects. But there's no definitive answer. We have the report. We have the mystery. We don't have the solution. Some historical sky events remain unexplained. Fact 36. Early telescopic observers occasionally drew strange dark shapes crossing the moon and sun. Modern astronomers examining these historical drawings can't always match them to known transits or sunspots. Were they seeing instrumentation quirks? Early telescopes were crude by our standards. Or were they witnessing real phenomena we've somehow never managed to confirm? We don't know. The drawings exist. The observations were recorded. The mystery persists. Fact 37. Many cultures independently linked halos and pillars around the moon with coming storms, long before anyone understood atmospheric optics. The ice crystals that create these optical phenomena are associated with specific weather patterns. So our ancestors were right, not about the gods sending messages, but about the correlation. Certain sky displays do precede weather changes. They decoded the signs without equations, without understanding refraction or crystallography. They just paid attention, generation after generation, until the pattern was clear. Fact 38. The Star of Bethlehem has been variously proposed as a triple conjunction of planets, a bright comet, a nova, or a purely literary symbol. Astronomers have worked backward through orbital mechanics, trying to find any celestial event that matches the biblical account. No single solution commands universal agreement. Maybe it was real and we haven't identified it correctly. Maybe it was symbolic. Maybe the question itself is the wrong approach. Fact 39. Ancient monuments, stone circles, temple corridors were aligned to solstices and star risings. Stonehenge, Newgrange, Chichen Itza. Their builders studied the night sky with profound care. We've lost many of the stories they told about these alignments. We have the stones, the astronomical precision, the evidence of sophisticated understanding. But the mythology, the meaning they assigned to these celestial events, that's mostly gone. The sky knowledge survived. The sky stories didn't. Fact 40. Here's what I want you to feel for a moment. You're lying in bed, looking out your window at the night sky, and you're connected, actually physically connected, to countless ancestors who did the same thing. They saw the same stars, the same moon, the same mysterious lights and patterns and changes. They tried to understand just like we do. They created explanations from the tools available to them. Myth, religion, careful observation without instruments. We have different tools now, better explanations. But we're asking the same questions they asked. What is that light? What does it mean? Is anyone out there? Is there a message in these patterns? For a bedtime listener tonight, these old reports feel like postcards from the past, from people lying awake under the same sky, trying to explain the same strange glows beyond their windows. They reached for meaning. We're still reaching. One more segment remains. Now we travel to the edge, to phenomena so distant, so energetic, so strange that they challenge our understanding of the universe itself. Fact 41. Fast radio bursts, FRBs, are millisecond-long radio pings from distant galaxies. Incredibly bright, incredibly brief. Some repeat, many don't. Scientists think they might come from magnetars, neutron stars with magnetic fields a trillion times stronger than Earth's. Or maybe from colliding neutron stars. Or maybe from something we haven't even theorized yet. Imagine a radio pulse traveling for billions of years across the expanding universe, just to reach our radio telescopes for a fraction of a second. What created it? Why? We're still working on those questions. Fact 42. Gamma ray bursts are even more extreme. For a few seconds, a single event can outshine an entire galaxy. The energy output is almost incomprehensible. More power than our sun will produce in its entire lifetime, released in seconds. We think many come from collapsing massive stars, from neutron stars colliding and merging, the death screams of stellar giants echoing across the cosmos. But the variety of these bursts, the different light curves, the different durations, still puzzles astronomers. We've categorized them, but we haven't fully explained them. Fact 43. Astronomers have cataloged optical transients, brief, powerful flashes in the night sky that don't fit neatly into known categories. Not supernovae, not standard stellar flares, something else. New kinds of cosmic outbursts that we're only beginning to understand. The universe is showing us events we don't have complete models for yet. Fact 44. One ultra-bright transient was nicknamed Scary Barbie, which is simultaneously hilarious and appropriate. It shone for years, likely a star being shredded by a black hole. But its extreme properties pushed our existing models to their limits. It was too bright, too long-lasting, too strange. Even with our best understanding of black hole physics, Scary Barbie was an outlier. The universe surprised us. Again. Fact 45. When gamma-ray bursts were first detected in the 1950s, before anyone understood what they were, some people genuinely feared they might be secret nuclear tests. Space battles. Weapon programs hidden from public knowledge. Tabloid headlines ran with these theories. The fear was real. The mystery was genuine. And then we figured it out. They were natural, astrophysical, explosions from when the universe was young, their light only now reaching us. Not weapons, just the violent, beautiful physics of stellar death. Fact 46. Some radio signals from space show patterns. Bursts spaced every few minutes. Regular intervals that make them look almost artificial, which fires imaginations. Beacons, messages, evidence of other civilizations trying to communicate. Most researchers look for extreme astrophysical sources, rotating neutron stars, unusual orbital mechanics, phenomena that just happen to create regular patterns. But the question hangs there, what if? What if one of them isn't natural? What if something out there is trying to say hello, and we're too focused on finding natural explanations to notice? Fact 47. In January 2026, just last month, researchers reported an unexplained space object sending powerful, regular signals unlike typical pulsars. It doesn't fit our models. It's not behaving like the sources we understand. So it's been added to the catalog of mysteries. Another entry in our growing list of things the universe is doing that we can't fully explain yet. Every time we think we've got it figured out, space surprises us. Fact 48. Sometimes the mysterious lights in our sky are much closer to home. When rockets launch at twilight, their exhaust gets illuminated by the sun, creating glowing, tentacled forms in the high atmosphere. People have called them space jellyfish. Viewers who don't know what they're seeing mistake them for alien craft. Portals opening in the sky. Tears in reality. They're just rocket fuel catching sunlight. But they're beautiful. Strange. They look like they belong in a science fiction movie, not in our actual sky. Fact 49. A swirling blue spiral over Alaska went viral online, and for good reason. It looked exactly like a cosmic whirlpool opening above a sleepy town, like something tearing through the fabric of space. It was frozen fuel vented from a spinning rocket stage. Science could explain it perfectly, but for a few minutes before anyone knew what it was magic. Fact 50. And here's our final fact, the one I want you to carry with you as you drift towards sleep. Every clear night, countless small transients occur. Meteors burning up, satellite flares catching sunlight, brief auroral ripples, ice crystals creating momentary halos, sprites flickering red at the edge of space. Most of these events come and go completely unnoticed while most of the world sleeps. The sky is busier and more mysterious than it looks from any single bedroom window. Right now, above you, something is probably happening. A flash too brief to catch, a pattern too subtle to notice, a phenomenon we don't even have a name for yet. The sky is alive. It's been alive for billions of years. It will continue being alive for billions more, creating wonders whether we're watching or not. But tonight, you watched, you listened, you let yourself wonder. And that's where we'll leave our journey tonight, dear traveler. 50 mysteries, some solved, some still puzzling, some balanced perfectly between explanation and wonder. If the story helped you find a moment of peace, if it gave your mind something to drift on as you move towards sleep, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a like. It helps other seekers find their way here. And remember, if there's a topic you'd love us to explore in a future bedtime story, tell us in the comments. Ancient civilizations, ocean depths, forgotten places, lost mysteries. We're always listening. Thank you for spending this time with us. Thank you for letting curiosity and calm exist together. Thank you for looking up at the night sky with fresh eyes, knowing now that it holds more secrets than you ever imagined. Sleep well, traveler. The stars are watching over you, and maybe, just maybe, something in the deep spaces between them is watching too.